Previously on Midnight Confessions with Ava. A stranger who called himself Midnight slipped into my show and somehow into my life, just by knowing how I sounded in the dark. He recognized me on the Jubilee line in my red scarf. He left secret messages from Studio 3 2 doors down, and he sent a ridiculous storm of red roses to my front door. On night 2, he shared a lift with me before admitting it live on air. On night 3, he pulled me into Studio 3 and stood so close I could smell his bitter, manly cologne all over my clothes. On night 4, he found me at the bus stop, put me in his car, took me on a cozy cafe date, gave me new flowers, and made it impossible to pretend he was just another caller. And in the warm dark of his car outside the station, I did the most reckless thing so far. I looked him in the eye and told him, after tonight's show, to come to my studio. Not Studio 3, mine. This is night 5, the last night with Midnight, and this is what happened when the red light went off. I wake up before my alarm, staring at the ceiling, heart already going like I have run somewhere. The room smells like the end of a story. Old roses and new freesias, heavy sweetness fading at the edges and fresh green cutting through it. On my desk, the first bouquet he sent is drooping in its vase, petals curled and dark at the edges, while the smaller freesias and pale roses from yesterday are still standing tall in their brown paper. My clothes from the cafe are folded over the chair, and when I pick up the jumper I can still smell him on it, that bitter, clean cologne sunk into the knit. I hold it to my face for a second, inhale, and my whole chest tightens. Today is the day I either pretend I did not invite him to my studio, or I walk into that room knowing he is going to follow me and there is no phone line, no listeners, no excuses left, and I am going to lose my... Anyway, getting dressed feels like planning a crime scene. I pull on my black jeans, the ones that fit properly and make me feel like I have a shape I actually like, then a soft black vest top and a deep green cardigan that drops off one shoulder if I move too much. Hair down, dried smooth, a bit of mascara, a thin line of liner to make me look more awake than I feel, a touch of colour on my mouth that will probably end up on someone else if tonight goes where I think it will. I look at myself in the mirror and barely recognise the girl who used to pretend this show was just a side job. Just practice. Just noise. My phone lights up on the bed as I am lacing my boots. It is him. Of course it is him. Last night, the message says, I will be there when the red light goes off. I stare at the words until the screen starts to dim, then type back, we will see, and send it, even though we both know I have already decided. The day goes by half-lived, lectures and notes and coffee, but none of it lands properly. Everything slightly out of focus at the edges. Every time my phone buzzes, my heart jumps, even when it is just some boring email or a discount code I am never going to use. He does not text again, and somehow that is worse, because it leaves me alone with my imagination, and that has never been a safe place. By the time I am walking into the station that night, my pulse is in my throat. The building looks the same, but nothing feels normal. Not the hum of the lights, not the scuffed carpet, not the lift doors groaning open like they always do. I ride up alone, watching myself in the dull metal, scarf looped loosely around my neck, bouquet of freesias and roses tucked in the crook of my arm like a secret. In the corridor, Studio 3 sits where it always has, door closed, plaque small and smug, but I do not look at it for more than a second. Tonight is not about that room. Tonight is about mine. I unlock my studio and step into the familiar space. The board, the mic, the chair that knows the shape of me by now. I put his bouquet on the small shelf by the window where I can see it in the reflection of the glass, and the light scent of freesias slips quietly into the usual mix of dust, fabric and electronics. I pull my phone out, thumb hovering over the Uber app for half a second, then I lock the screen instead and set it face down on the desk. No exit strategy tonight. As I am adjusting my headphones, My phone buzzes once. I flip it over. I will not call in, he has written. The show is for them. After is for us. My mouth goes dry and I put the phone back down before I can overthink it any further. Stephen gives me the countdown through the glass. 3 fingers, 2, 1, and the red on-air light pops to life for the last time in this story. Good night, troublemakers, I say, letting my voice slide warm over the mic. This is Midnight Confessions, and tonight is our last night together. I tell you it is an episode about endings and beginnings, about the things we choose to leave behind and the doors we decide to walk through anyway. The first caller is someone leaving a relationship that does not fit anymore, a soft voice saying they are scared to be alone again. I tell them that sometimes staying is lonelier than leaving, that there is always a risk either way, and I can hear my own pulse in my words. The second caller wants to move city but is afraid they will lose everyone they know. I say, you will lose some things no matter what you do, so you might as well pick the loss that gives you a chance at feeling alive. The last caller of the night tells me they are tired of watching their life happen to other people. Then stop narrating from the sidelines, I tell them. Pick a moment and step into it, even if your hands shake while you do it. I am not talking to London anymore, and we both know it. The clock in the corner of the studio creeps towards the end of the show, and my heart keeps time with it, heavy and fast. That is all from me, I say finally, fingers resting on the fader. This has been Midnight Confessions with me, Ava Rose Carter. For you, this is the end of the story. For me, the real part starts when this red light goes off. I hit the button, the on-air sign dies, the music bed cuts, and the studio drops into that special kind of silence that only exists after noise. My headphones slide down around my neck, and I sit there for a second, feeling my own breath bounce back at me off the soundproofing. My phone buzzes once on the desk. Outside, his message says, nothing more. I stand up, legs a little unsteady, and cross the room to the door. When I pull it open, he is there, leaning against the opposite wall, hands in the pockets of his dark jacket, head tipped back slightly, like he has been listening to the faint ghost of my show through the door. No suit tonight, no studio costume. Dark jeans that hug his hips just right, a black Henley that clings across his chest and arms, sleeves pushed up to his forearms, that same bitter, manly perfume drifting off him in warm waves. His hair is a little messier than earlier, as if he ran his fingers through it on the way up, and the stubble along his jaw is darker now, like the day has settled on his skin. You came, I say, then blush, because of course he did. I invited him. You told me to, he answers calmly, eyes steady on mine. I step back, holding the door open, and he walks past me into my studio. The smell of him pushes into the room ahead of him, threading itself through the scent of freesias and electronics, until I am not sure where one ends and the other begins. I close the door behind us, and the click feels louder than it should. My hand drifts to the small bolt above the handle, and I pause, my fingers resting there for a heartbeat. Then I slide it across. The soft metal scrape sounds like a line being drawn. He watches me do it, eyes flicking from the bolt back to my face. Ava, he says quietly, you do not have to prove anything. I am not proving anything, I reply, my voice lower than usual. I am choosing. I just need you to know something first. I step closer, close enough that I can see the tiny flecks of lighter colour in his irises, the small scar at his eyebrow, the way his mouth tenses when he is concentrating. I have never done this, I say, the words dropping like stones between us. Any of it. I am a virgin. For a second, I cannot breathe, waiting for a flicker of disappointment or surprise or worse. It does not come. His expression softens instead, edges of his mouth relaxing, eyes warmer, not cooler. Thank you for telling me, he says simply, voice steady, no jokes, no bravado. We do this as slowly as you want. Or we stop right now and I walk you home, and nothing about tonight has to be more than a story. The relief that washes over me is almost painful. If I wanted it to be just a story, I whisper, I would not have asked you to come in. I am close enough now that I can feel his body heat like a radiator, see the rise and fall of his chest under the thin black fabric. My hands are shaking a little, so I tuck them into the edges of my cardigan, fingers gripping the knit. He lifts one hand slowly, giving me plenty of time to move away if I want to, and lets his knuckles skim the line of my jaw, light as a breath. His thumb rests just under my cheekbone and tilts my face up a fraction. The scent of his cologne is stronger this close, bitter and warm, and I can feel my pulse beating against his fingers. If I kiss you, he says quietly, you can change your mind at any second and I will stop. I promise. My voice comes out smaller than usual, but it is there. Then kiss me, I say. He closes the last inch between us, and his mouth touches mine, soft at first, lips warm and careful, like he is testing how much pressure I can take. The rest of the room disappears. The desk, the mic, the soundproofing, all of it falls away until there is just him and the heat blooming under my skin. I did not know a kiss could feel like that. Like every nerve ending has been rewired, like my knees might give out if I do not hold on to something. I grab the front of his Henley without thinking, fingers bunching the fabric, pulling him closer. He makes a small sound in the back of his throat, low and pleased, and the kiss deepens, still not rushed, but heavier now, like he has been holding himself back for too long. His other hand slides to my waist, fingers spreading over the curve of me through the thin knit of my cardigan, steadying me, anchoring me. My heart is pounding so hard I can feel it against my ribs, against his chest, like it is trying to punch through the space between us. We break for air and he leans his forehead against mine, breath warm on my lips. Still okay, he murmurs. Yes, I breathe, not even pretending otherwise. More than okay. He kisses me again, slower this time, like he is learning the exact way my mouth fits against his. My hands slide up from his chest to his shoulders, feeling the solid muscle there under the soft cotton, then up into his hair, tugging gently. He steps forward, walking me backwards carefully until the backs of my thighs bump the edge of the console. The desk is solid behind me, his body solid in front, and I am suspended between the two, every part of me humming. His hands move to my hips, thumbs pressing lightly into the denim of my jeans. Not pushing, just holding me in place, as his mouth finds the line of my jaw, then the soft skin just under my ear. The brush of his lips there sends a shiver down my spine so sharp I have to bite back a sound. You are shaking, he murmurs against my skin. I know, I say, half laugh, half gasp. Keep going. He trails kisses along the side of my neck, nothing I would not show in public on paper, but everything feels amplified here, in my studio, with the door locked and no red light to hide behind. My fingers curl in his hair, my head tipping back a little, giving him more space without even thinking. When he comes back to my mouth, his hands slide from my hips to the small of my back, and he gently lifts me, just enough that I can sit on the edge of the console. The equipment hums under me, lights blinking at the corners of my vision, and he steps between my knees, fitting there like he has always belonged. His palms rest on my thighs over the denim, thumbs drawing slow circles that make heat coil low in my stomach without him ever moving higher. It is maddening and perfect at the same time. Tell me if anything feels wrong, he says against my lips. I will, I manage. I promise. We lose track of time like that, in the soft dark of the studio, mouths meeting and parting, breaths tangling, his hands learning the shape of me through my clothes, my hands mapping the lines of his shoulders, his back, the curve of his neck. Every new touch feels like stepping off a ledge and finding solid ground instead of air. At one point, I pull back just enough to look at him properly, cheeks flushed, hair slightly mussed from my fingers, chest rising a little faster than usual. "We are really doing this in my studio," I say, a bit dazed. He smiles, soft and wicked at once. "You told me to come here," he reminds me. "I'm just following directions." The intensity keeps building, not from anything more explicit, but from the way neither of us is pretending anymore. His cologne is all over me now, on my cardigan, my hair, my skin, mixing with the scent of freesias in the corner, turning the air around us thick and warm. His thumb strokes absent little patterns at my waist, under the edge of my cardigan, over the thin cotton of my top, stopping just before it would cross a line neither of us has said out loud. I am aware, in a distant way, that we could keep going, that there is a whole further edge to this night if I want it. I am also aware that my heart might explode if I try to cram every first into 1 hour. I pull back a little, chest heaving, and he stills immediately, hands loosening on my waist. "Too much?" he asks quietly. "No," I say, shaking my head. "Just a lot. I want it to be ours, not London's." His gaze holds mine for a long moment, and then he nods, something serious settling behind his eyes. He reaches past me, his arm brushing my side, and flicks a switch on the console. One by one, the little lights on the panels go dark, the hum of the equipment fading until the only thing left is the sound of our breathing. "No recordings," he says softly. "No mics. No red light. Just you and me." I wrap my arms around his neck and pull him back in, my lips finding his again in the half-dark. What happens next is not for the city, or the callers, or the algorithm. It is for me, and for the man I spent 4 nights falling for before I ever let him cross the studio threshold. I will tell you this much. We did not rush. I learnt the weight of his body when he leaned into me, the sound he makes when my fingers find the back of his neck, the way his hands can make me forget there is a whole world outside the soundproofed walls. The studio has never felt that warm, or that small, or that safe. The rest is not for YouTube. If you are still here with me at the end of night 5, thank you. Thank you for sticking around for every call, every lift, every bouquet, and every bad decision. This was just a story, not my real life. A piece of fiction built out of late nights and what-ifs. If you let it live in your head for a while, if you felt even a little of what I poured into Ava and Midnight, I am very, very grateful. If you enjoyed this and want more stories like this, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, leave a comment, and tell me which night was your favourite. And if you are sitting there thinking, okay, but what exactly happened in that studio after the lights went off? Every kiss, every touch, every detail I did not say here, then listen carefully. The full, uncut, very explicit version of Night 5, where I tell you exactly what happened between Ava and Midnight in that locked studio, will be available to purchase in my special channel. You already know where to find it. For now, this is Ava Rose Carter turning the red light off, keeping the last part just between me and Midnight, and saying good night.